Hey there, welcome into the show. My name is Chase Sr. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report, and coming up on today's show, we're going to open up the floor, take questions from our 49ers Report subscribers to talk all things training camp right here on the program. Speaking of hearing from our loyal subscribers, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want daily Niners news, analysis, reactions. Lock us in. Hit that subscribe button. We just surpassed 164,000 subscribers. And when you do that, don't forget to hit that bell icon, turn on your notifications. Therefore, anytime we go live or anytime we publish a video, you will get that push notification. Let's begin with this $2 donation and super chat from Joseph Ernberg. Niners drafting injury-prone players, and then they get hurt. I totally get everybody's frustrations with the Niners injury issues. I hear you. And what was crazy is that prior to the joint practice against the Denver Broncos, guess what the Broncos were doing? Actively stretching. Guess what the Niners weren't doing? Not stretching. The Niners don't stretch prior to these practices. It literally makes no sense. Now, they might try to activate some quick twitch muscles, and I know that the Niners play a very physical brand of football. That is the identity of Kyle Shanahan teams. But outside of 2023, when the Niners made it to the Super Bowl and they were the fourth healthiest team in the NFL, they have been top 10 in injury rate every single season. Now, Joseph Ernberg sent in that super chat after we were talking about the Michael Williams injury. He hyperextended his knee against the Broncos in that Thursday joint practice. It is not believed to be serious. He could be day-to-day, maybe miss a week, but now probably not going to play against the Broncos in the preseason opener. But thankfully, the Niners' first-round pick, not too banged up. But look, he wasn't really that injured throughout his Georgia career. He did hurt his ankle week 1 against Clemson last year. That bothered him the rest of the year, but it's not like he has a long track record, of being an injury-prone player. Lacey Media is next up. Purdy Kittle will be the best of 2025 of all teams in the NFL. Look, since Brock Purdy came in 2022, the Purdy to Kittle connection has literally been one of the best, most successful quarterback tight end combinations in the entire NFL. And it is not a coincidence that Kittle, since Purdy came in 2022 as the starter, was a second-team All-Pro that year, a first-team All-Pro in 2023, Purdy's first full season as a starting quarterback, and then a second-team All-Pro in 2024. And once Purdy replaced Jimmy Garoppolo in that game against Miami, George Kittle caught fire. I mean, he was unstoppable toward the end of the year. He had 11 touchdowns that season. A majority of them came with Purdy as the starter. And then in 2023, 6 touchdowns. And last year, he had 8. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. And if you've seen photos or video of George Kittle so far throughout training camp, he looks to be in the best shape of his life. He is yoked. He looks to be in stellar condition, and the Purdy to Kittle connection throughout training camp has been unstoppable. Whether it's the Niners going up against themselves or during the Niners-Broncos joint practice session. So I'm with you. I think that Kittle is still the best tight end in football. He's an excellent blocker. In the pass game, he's so dynamic, but also factor in, Brandon Ayuk not going to be around for a while. Jawan Jennings still hurt. Deebo Samuel with the Commanders. I think Kittle, with the addition of Luke Farrell, a blocking tight end, becomes more of a component of the passing game, leading to a huge year. Austin Scarberry with the $100 super chat. Let's go. Austin is back making noise. Appreciate it, my brother. Really, really do. Purdy and Ricky are going to ball out this year. Bang, bang, Niner gang. So a lot of the same things that I said about Kittle and that connection, the camaraderie, the synergy that he's had with Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and that Brock Purdy connection, that has been dominant throughout training camp too. If Ricky Pearsall can stay healthy, I think that he has a breakout year. One of my bold predictions a few weeks ago was that Pearsall surpasses 1,000 yards. When you factor in how difficult of a year his rookie year was, for him to still have more than 400 yards receiving, pretty impressive. I mean, he missed the first couple of months of the year after the gunshot wound. Prior to that, he had the shoulder subluxation and the hamstring injury, barely did anything throughout training camp, did not participate in any preseason games. Then there was that 4 or 5 game stretch where he didn't have a single catch. Then toward the end of the year, he started to catch fire. Throughout training camp, he's having a training camp this summer to the level of the training camp that Brandon Ayuk had in 2023 and in 2022, when Ayuk by far was the best player in camp. Whether it's one-on-ones or team drills, Ricky Pearsall has won. He's won a lot. There have been a lot of explosive plays downfield. He's won on a lot of deep crossers. And in the Thursday joint practice against the Broncos, he was beating Patrick Surtain and Jahdae Barron, the latter of which he cooked for a 30-yard touchdown on the receiving end from Brock Purdy. So Austin, very high on Ricky Pearsall going into 2025. I think the only thing that holds him back is injuries. More of your questions coming up. But these Fred Warner jerseys are available for only $80, 20% off. But you can only get that discount if you use our link down below, chatsports.com/Warner. It's chatsports.com/Warner. Get your Fred Warner jerseys today, 20% off, only $80 for these Nike jerseys, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. Going to put that link down below in the show notes and attached to the pinned comment of today's show. Another super chat coming in from Gold Rush, $5 here. Can you confirm if Trent Williams and the Denver defense were laughing at our offense? I can't confirm that. What I will say was that in that joint practice against Denver, the Niners offense started a little bit slow. Brock Purdy threw a couple of picks. The Denver defense blanked the Niners in red zone drills to start, but then the Niners really got it together toward the end of practice. And Brock Purdy made some explosive plays. Some of the winners, George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall, Jordan Watkins in one-on-ones, had a deep touchdown. And so look, we have the Broncos defensive numbers from 2024. What a great litmus test for the San Francisco 49ers offense this early in training camp to test out some things against a Broncos defense that last year was one of the best in the NFL. 3rd in points per game, 9th in yards per game, 1st in points per play allowed, 3rd in yards per play allowed, the number 1 red zone scoring defense in the NFL. That second red zone period after the Niners got blanked, Purdy found McCaffrey and Jordan Watkins for touchdowns. So it's all about adjusting. It's all about putting yourselves into game-like situations. Kyle Shanahan even said it. I thought Purdy performed well because I really challenged him in that practice. A lot of these practices, too, are situationally. But in the move the ball drills toward the end of practice, yeah, Purdy started to get humming, and that's a great sign. Johnny Clucks, are we going to get any other kickers to compete with Jake Moody? Because I am just not confident with him still. I am with you, and I think a majority of the fan base is. When the Niners the other day released Greg Joseph earlier this week, I went on a rant here on the show because it was never a true kicker competition. Greg Joseph isn't a good enough kicker to realistically push Jake Moody. He struggled at moments throughout his career. I know he has the Brant Boyer overlap, but he's never been an elite kicker. On kicks of 50-plus yards, he's always struggled. He actually had better numbers than Jake Moody all throughout camp. He was 21-24. Moody was 20-24. And I know that the Niners had some injuries and Kyle Shanahan got fed up and the Niners needed some bodies to go through camp practices and the joint practice against Denver and for the preseason game, but you're not even going to allow the kicker competition to take place in a preseason game when there are fans, when you're inside of a stadium, when the pressure is on, when it's a real live game situation. I don't care and give a damn about the 6th-string defensive tackle. Jake Moody cost you games last year. Jake Moody couldn't hit the ocean out of a boat with a beach ball last year. He lost all of his confidence. You need to see if he can cut it and be your kicker. And the best way to do that is in a live game situation. And I know some people will say, oh, Jake Moody is still competing. He's competing with himself. If he misses some kicks, the Niners could sign another kicker. I want to see him go up against another guy. I want to see him get put to the test. I want him to go through the mental and physical rigors of what it takes to be a successful kicker in this league. There was a practice last week or the week before where Moody was 3 of 3. Then Kyle Shanahan went up to him prior to that fourth kick, and he missed. Actually have a real competition at kicker. But Kyle Shanahan just doesn't value special teams all that much. But if he costs you games, this Niners approach is something that we will revisit. I could rant about kickers all day. Mike Viertel, any updates on the secondary? So, Deommodore Lenoir back at practice. Renardo Green not going to be back until Raiders week. As for players who are getting reps there, Upton Stout, the third-round pick out of Western Kentucky, has been sensational. He looks to be the real deal. He had an interception in one-on-ones against the Broncos in that joint practice. An excellent play made by him. He's had some great one-on-ones against rookie Pearsall, who's been beating everybody else. Upton Stout has 4.4 speed. John Lynch on Thursday compared him to Rondé Barber, who's one of the top corners of all time. He's very physical. He has no fear. And so I think he's going to start week 1 in the slot. I think Deommodore Lenoir, Renardo Green will be on the outside. As far as depth, Mike, very concerned about the Niners cornerback position. Dallas Flowers and Jacob Robinson have been two players who have had good camps, but Robinson is a UDFA rookie, and Dallas Flowers has been a journeyman for a reason. Now, Gus Bradley does know Dallas Flowers pretty well, but if a player goes down at the cornerback position, not good for San Francisco. They do not have a lot of depth there. Allen Elizer, and they released Eli Apple on Thursday. Hello, Chase and Chip. How's your day? It's great. Even better now that we're hearing from you. This week, my wife and I will be at odds. She is a Broncos fan. Do you think the Niners are going after Tyreek Hill? So, house divided for you and your wife. Luckily, it's a preseason game. But how do you feel knowing that Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, DJ Jones, and Mike McGlinchey are all on that other sideline? A lot of Niner fans are probably commenting right now saying, I'm glad McGlinchey is on that team. But at least it's a preseason game, and you're not going to go at each other's necks. Do I think the Niners will go after Tyreek Hill? Look, they've had a lot of injuries at the wide receiver spot, but I think they want to see their young players develop. Ricky Pearsall, Jordan Watkins, they've had really good training camps. Jacob Cowing was a 4th rounder last year, and he had a very good spring. Then he got hurt in the first practice running against air. He has 4.4 speed. I think the Niners want to see what they can get out of him, and all of those players are cost control players. They added Demarcus Robinson. They have Jawan Jennings. They're hoping that Brandon Ayuk can come back. And so I don't think they want the antics of Tyreek Hill or the salary on the books of Tyreek Hill north of $30 million. That's 2 wide receivers who would be making 30 plus. You already have to deal with some of the antics from Ayuk. Do you want to do the same with Tyreek Hill? He's nicknamed the Cheetah for a reason. He throws up the deuces for a reason. He's electric. He's one of the most explosive wide receivers in the history of football. Brock Purdy is one of the more underrated deep ball throwers in the NFL. But I don't see San Francisco going after Tyreek Hill. Joe Carmack always watches the show and comments. Chase, how did CJ Stout and Martin play? What about D. Winters? So Upton Stout is who you're talking about. He has been one of the stars of Niners training camp. The Niners seem to love him for the player who he is, but the mentality that he has. Nick Martin, he is one of the players who I will be watching closely in that Saturday preseason opener against Denver. Because throughout training camp, hasn't done a ton. And as far as D. Winters, he has been one of the players who has taken the biggest leap among all players on this Niners roster. And I expect him to start alongside Fred Warner this year. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you too can be a part of our Niners live shows and our mailbags. Thanks to everybody for watching. San Francisco, let's go.